Hello everyone, and welcome to our comprehensive series on end-to-end ESG and sustainability reporting series. If you've been following the world of corporate finance and sustainability lately, you know that the ground is shifting beneath our feet. We are moving away from a time where sustainability reports were just glossy marketing brochures, and into an era of rigorous, data-driven accountability.
Today, we are diving deep into the new era of ESG reporting, from voluntary frameworks to global mandatory standards. In this session, Module 1 of our foundation course, we are going to navigate the alphabet soup of acronyms you keep hearing about: GRI, TCFD, ISSB, and the massive European directive known as the CSRD. My name is Jay Shah, and I'll be your guide through this evolution. Let's start by setting the scene. To understand where we are going, we have to look at where we started. If we look back at the 1990s, sustainability was really a niche concept. We saw the UN Environmental Program getting financial institutions involved for the first time, and the Kyoto Protocol established the idea that lowering emissions was a shared global responsibility. But back then, this was largely separate from core business. Moving into the 2000s, things started to get serious. In 2004, the UN actually coined the term ESG, Environmental, Social and Governance, in the Who Cares Wins report. But what really drove this home were corporate scandals. Think Enron and BP. These disasters made it painfully clear that a lack of transparency and accountability carries massive financial risk. By the 2010s, we saw the birth of integrated reporting. But the reporting landscape was still fragmented. It was voluntary. Companies could choose what they wanted to share and how they wanted to share it. That is the era we are now leaving behind. Before the new mandatory laws kicked in, two major voluntary frameworks established the baseline for everything we do today. You need to understand these two because they represent the two different philosophies of ESG. First, we have the Global Reporting Initiative, or GRI. Think of GRI as the stakeholder framework. Its focus is broad. It takes an inside-out perspective. This means it asks, how do the company's operations impact the world? How do you affect people and the environment? The goal here is comprehensive disclosure to help everyone, employees, communities, and economists, make decisions that benefit society. It covers everything: economic, environmental, and social topics. On the other side, we have the TCFD, or the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures. This framework is different. It is investor-centric. It takes an outside-in perspective. Instead of asking how you impact the world, the TCFD asks, how does the changing world, specifically climate change, impact your company's financial value? Its goal is to provide decision-useful info for banks, lenders, and investors. The legacy of the TCFD is massive because it gave us the four core pillars of reporting: governance, strategy, risk management, and metrics and targets. Keep those four in mind. We will see them again very soon. Now, let's look at the biggest regulatory shift happening right now: the European Union's transition. Back in 2014, the EU introduced the NFRD, Non-Financial Reporting Directive. It was a good start, but it was limited. It only applied to about 11,700 large companies. The problem? It was too flexible. Companies reported in different ways, making it impossible to compare Company A with Company B. So, the EU replaced it with the CSRD, Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, starting in 2024. This is not just an update, it is a revolution. First, look at the scope. We are going from 11,000 companies to roughly 50,000 companies. This includes non-EU companies that have significant business inside the EU. The key change here is that reporting is no longer flexible. You must comply with the European Sustainability Reporting Standards, ESRS. We are seeing a phased rollout. 2024 affects the largest public companies, but by 2025 and beyond, the net widens significantly to include more organizations. If you do business in Europe, this is likely coming for you. If you take only one concept away from this session regarding the CSRD, let it be this: double materiality. Remember how we discussed GRI inside out and TCFD outside in? The CSRD combines them. Under CSRD, you must assess materiality from two angles: financial materiality, outside in. How do sustainability issues like climate change or resource scarcity threaten your company's financial value? Impact materiality, inside out. How do your operations affect people and the environment? Here is the kicker: a company must report on a topic if it is material from either perspective. You cannot ignore your pollution just because it is profitable. There are two other massive requirements under CSRD: mandatory assurance. You can't just write a report and publish it. It must be audited. We are starting with limited assurance, but the goal is to move toward reasonable assurance. The same level of scrutiny as your financial statements. Digital reporting. Your data must be digitally tagged in XHTML format so that machines and algorithms can read and compare it. This is about total transparency. While Europe is implementing the CSRD, what is happening globally? Enter the ISSB, International Sustainability Standards Board. The ISSB was launched to solve the problem of fragmentation. Their objective is to create a global baseline for capital markets. Unlike the CSRD, which looks at double materiality, the ISSB is primarily investor-focused. It looks at the outside-in perspective. How do sustainability issues impact enterprise value? They have issued 2 foundational standards so far, IFRS S1 and IFRS S2. These are designed to be the global language that investors speak. Let's look at IFRS S1. This is the General Requirements Standard. Its goal is simple. Require companies to disclose sustainability risks and opportunities that are useful to investors. The structure of IFRS S1 should look very familiar to you. It completely aligns with the TCFD's 4 pillars. Governance. Who is in charge? What are your controls and procedures for monitoring these risks? Strategy. How do these risks affect your business model and your cash flows? Risk management. How do you identify and assess these risks? Metrics and targets. How do you measure success? What are your goals? If you have already been using TCFD, you are halfway there with ISSB. Next is IFRS S2, the first topical standard which focuses specifically on climate. This requires entities to disclose their climate-related risks and opportunities. When we talk about risks here, we mean 2 types. Physical risks, floods, wildfires, extreme weather events. Transition risks, policy changes, carbon taxes, or technology shifts that could make your products obsolete. The requirements here are rigorous. You must disclose your Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3 GHG emissions. That Scope 3 part, your supply chain emissions, is the hardest part for most companies. You also have to perform scenario analysis, essentially modeling how your business survives in a 1.5 degrees Celsius world versus a 2 degrees Celsius or 3 degrees Celsius world. Again, this follows the 4 pillars of governance, strategy, risk, and metrics. We will learn in upcoming modules how GHG and climate scenario can be calculated. I want to pause here to show you that the ISSB didn't just appear out of thin air. It is a consolidation of the best frameworks we've had over the last decade. Look at this diagram. The TCFD gave ISSB its structure, governance, strategy, risk, metrics. SASB, Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, provided the industry-specific requirements. If you are in oil and gas, you report differently than if you are in tech. SASB built that logic, and ISSB adopted it. The CDSB contributed its work on water and biodiversity, and even the GRI works specifically with the ISSB to ensure interoperability, though they remain distinct. So when you adopt ISSB standards, you are essentially adopting the mature, consolidated wisdom of all these previous organizations. Now, let's bounce back to Europe and the CSRD. How do companies actually report? They use the ESRS, European Sustainability Reporting Standards. There are 12 standards in the first set, and they are divided into 2 buckets, cross-cutting standards. There are 2 of these, ESRS 1 and 2. These apply to everyone, regardless of industry. They cover general requirements and general disclosures. Topical standards. There are 10 of these. These cover specific environmental, social, and governance topics. To be compliant with CSRD, you need to assess your materiality against these 10 standards. Environmental, the E. E1, climate change, carbon emissions and energy. E2, pollution, air, water, and soil pollution. E3, water and marine resources, how much water you use and recycle. E4, biodiversity, your impact on ecosystems. E5, resource use and circular economy, waste management and recycling. Social, the S. S1, own workforce, how you treat your employees. S2, workers in the value chain, how your suppliers treat their workers. S3, affected communities, your impact on local populations. S4, consumers and end users, product safety and privacy. Governance, the G. G1, business conduct, anti-corruption, bribery and payment practices. This is the most comprehensive reporting suite the world has ever seen. This concludes Module 1 on the global ESG reporting landscape. It is a lot to digest more, but understanding this foundation is crucial before we dive into the technical details of data collection in our next sessions. I'm happy to take any questions you have.